the logical mistakes of those who follow the idea of vegetarianism, meaning not eating flesh, and for those who are doing this because of reasons, not because they are not liking the taste of the meat, but who don't want to hurt animals. When speaking about eating meat, is or speaking against eating meat, always comes the reason of the aggression and hurting animals. In a previous video I was talking about the equality of different species, saying that the animals, the human beings, and plants are the same complex, the same adaptive, not the same complex, but the same adaptive, and that there are no reason we can only from human viewpoint choose a measurement or a scale on what we can put ourselves towards one end of the scale, and the problem with this is that the scale is very subjective, that is human based, and the other thing is that choosing which point or which end of the scale we take as better is also very subjective. So we are doing two mistakes when, for example, we are saying that humans are more intelligent than plants or animals. So when I was arguing with a good friend of mine about vegetarianism and the ethical problems of hurting animals and eating animals, sooner or later we got to the point that killing an animal is very similar to killing a man. The reason of my friend was that just because the animal cannot verbalize, cannot tell us how it hurts, and cannot complain, we are not only allowed to kill an animal. Of course, those who are pro meat eating, they say that animals have no such complex feelings. They have no soul if they are based on religious basis, or if they are kind of psychologists, they say they have no feelings similar to human beings. And of course, when you are watching an animal dying, you can see him or her crying, fighting for his life, and so on. Yes, you can say that these are instincts, and I have to agree with that. That what we see on this animal's face is our reflexes, and these reflexes we combine with our empathy. There was just to mention, there is a video also about the limitations of empathy. So the information that comes from the animal's face and behavior plus our empathy, and plus our cultural history or cultural memories that are connected to, that are dissolving the boundary between animal and human beings. The summary of this is that we see an animal's suffering equal to a human suffering. So the stories, the tales about animals, the Disney cartoons where animals are speaking, are all coming from our childhood. That this old and classic distinction between human beings and animals is starting to be dissolved, and humans and animals start to get in the same group. What is a huge mistake, of course, at least logical mistake, because either we call also our dog a human, or we treat as a human, and we used to do in our civilized Western culture, or we keep the wall. There is a video also about walls, bridges, and emotions. So, or we keep a strong wall between species, as our it's not our, but some religions are saying, and also as a definition of the human and the animal is based on a separation. So in the moment when we start to not eat animals because we say that is the same killing process as we do with plants. We are doing this mistake of confusing definitions, confusing notions. And I'm going further. The other mistake of logical mistake is that we are again defining a kind of not well, logically well based scale on what we put somewhere animals, somewhere plants, and somewhere humans. And the animals we are splitting into intelligent kind of animals, or emotional animals, or complex animals. And I just would like to draw your attention that here the scale is complexity, intelligence, feelings. All are mistaken, that we are choosing them. There is no absolute scale that we can accept as logical perfect. So anyhow, within animals, here are the plants, here are the human beings. Within animals we also do some kind of nicely distinctions, that maybe a cow is more complex and more intelligent than a fish or a chicken, because a cow maybe has a bigger face, like here, and bigger body, so you can see more how he or she is suffering. Or just because the body of this animal is bigger, the brain will be also bigger, so we suppose that has a more complex internal life. So okay, we shouldn't eat people, it's bad. Then we shouldn't eat also complex animals. Then why are we allowed to to eat simple animals and plants? Why? So who is the one and what is the reason why to build here up a wall and say that that these are inferior, we are allowed to eat them, we should eat them freely, and these are very, very human, so we shouldn't eat ourselves. That's an acceptable and absolutely logically clear statement that we shouldn't eat humans, as long as we treat ourselves humans. Of course, there is a question of definition of what is human. That we can say that if somebody is bigger than 2.50 m or 3 m, even if it looks like human, is not a human. Or if we say that has only one hand, then it's not human. So it's a question how we define humans, but from sustainable point of view, eating members of those group that you are feeling to belong to is not a self-sustainable approach. So it's self-defending or self-attacking action that is against the will to survive. So if somebody starts to eat the members of his group, so he is somewhere here and starts to eat this and this and this, then there is no reason why this one shouldn't expect that these will eat him as well. And if he does so, then is quite obvious that he can start eating himself. So and that's of course a possible activity, to start to eat my own hand, but those systems that are destructing themselves, I don't treat as a stable system. So from mental, if we are defining mental balance and mental health as a system that keeps him or herself alive and doesn't want to destruct himself or herself, then a mentally healthy person shouldn't eat other humans. It's a funny long reasoning, anti-cannibalism. I don't know how to pronounce it, cannibalism, but hopefully it's logically clear. And this cannibalism is the reason, or the taboo of cannibalism is the reason why people start not eating complex or bigger bodied animals. We should notice once again, there is as I said earlier, there's a full video about this topic, that this scale is so much embedded in our culture that we even don't notice it, because since we are small children in our religion, in our culture, in defining different categories in our life, it's always based on the hierarchy of different species. And this whole story is one reason why you can choose either on dying of hunger, because if you accept the reasoning that I gave earlier, then you cannot eat humans, you cannot eat complex animals. As there is no war, you cannot eat animals as such. There is no war here as well, because it's the same living creature. So you should not eat plants as well, so you should die for hunger. So what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say that this whole story is about something more deeper. It's about rejecting aggressivity. Aggressivity is, as defined and described in earlier videos and also in my book Self-Expansion, is splitting two things. So here is something that is a unity, and you are splitting into two halves or two parts. This is one thing, or an alternative is what is the opposite of these things. They are two separated things, and you are pushing them together into one unity. Eating, of course, it's about this, because you have to take off a chicken's head, or you have to cut out a part from a cow, and with your teeth you are taking into smaller and smaller parts the piece of meat what you're eating. So eating meat is an aggressive act. Killing animal is an aggressive act. Killing man, of course, it's the biggest aggressive act. So if you are starting here, eating it's the absolute biggest. Killing an animal, it's an aggressive act. And what is with killing a plant? My statement is that if you want to survive, you cannot be not aggressive. There is no, I try to prove that there is no way of surviving without being aggressive. And when I mean aggressive, I mean this kind of behavior. As there are two reasons for this. One is that in order to keep yourself alive, your boundaries have to be strengthened more and more. So, as described in an earlier video, you have to be at the wall. You have a wall because the wall is the boundaries of your system, and these walls have to be strengthened and kept perfect, because as soon as it opens, your body is flowing out and you are dying, just like a wound. When you are hurt and you are bleeding. When you are bleeding, then a part of your system is going out in the environment, and sooner or later you are dying and you fall into parts. The wall is falling into parts, so you are falling into parts, and that's how I define death. I define death as systems that is built from subsystems, cannot keep its links together, so these small subsystems start to attach to other systems, other subsystems, and start to create new systems. And this system that was originally here is dead, and new systems have born. But this is what we are doing when eating. So this is the poor animal. I really feel sorry for the animal. So I couldn't kill chicken. I wouldn't be able to do that, because I also feel this empathy. But I'm eating chicken, so because the reasons that I described. So here is the poor chicken. This is his head. This is the legs and breasts and whatever. So when we are eating, then we are taking out parts of it. This is an aggressive act because here we are cutting it out, and this is this activity. And this is ourselves, and we are putting in our nice body to make ourselves even fatter and to keep our beautiful boundaries, the wall of our body, stronger and stronger, fatter and fatter, I would say. And that's reason number one. The reason number two is strongly connected, or maybe it's the same thing, that is the question of resources. As long as we would like to have these internal subsystems in ourselves continuously restructuring, meaning that these links are ceasing and they are connecting in a different pattern, and this is what I call life, because this is how we are adapting to our environment. Please check out the earlier videos where this process is described in detail. This process of continuous restructuring, as I'm calling the paradigm, rapid, repeated restructuring paradigm. To rapidly and repeatedly to restructure, we need resources, and resources we get from burning. Not these, because this is the leg of the chicken, but within the leg of the chicken there are small cells and energy containing molecules, and we are burning these, we are connecting these with oxygen, and from these we get energy to do this continuous restructuring, to think, to live, to love, and so on. And we cannot stop doing it, or again we get here, then we are killing ourselves by not eating. Thank you for attention. I hope I didn't hurt anybody with my reasonings. As I said, I love those vegetarians who are so pacific, so peace lovers, that they are not able to hurt an insect. I'm not killing insects either. I'm putting them out in my garden. But please notice that logically and philosophically is not a perfect basics on what to do. You can say that this is your religion, and in that case I won't argue it, because religion is not the field of logics, it's a field of belief. So but try to not convince other people with saying that this is a clear reasoning to not eat meat, because in my opinion it won't be true. Thank you for your attention once again. Goodbye.